this is Special Agent Jody Shimonik. We're back recording this. Chief O'Day had to take a phone call briefly. And so, Chief, we were talking about the fact that the gun, you had some malfunctions with it. And explain that your initial impression was the gun was malfunctioning, but then you determined later it wasn't actually the gun malfunctioning. It was ammo related.
My initial belief was that, first that I thought it was just dirty around the extractor, so I borrowed Jeff's kit, scrubbed on it, cleaned it, and started shooting, and it still did the same thing again. And then over time I started noticing, because I had different kinds of ammo in one plastic vitamin jar, that the shiny rounds would work good, and the ones that looked oxidized would tend to hang up in the chamber and not extract, and the extractor would pop off it, and even loaded rounds would sometimes pop off.
Okay. So once you started shooting your newer ammo, you weren't having the malfunctions.
I didn't start shooting newer ammo. I had all kinds of ammo, but I started noticing that the ones, essentially the shiny ones worked and all the time, and the oxidized ones were the ones that tended to be unreliable.
And so you've said you had that gun for 20 plus years.
I'm sure.
You haven't had problems with it before?
Never had an ammo problem, never had a gun problem.
Okay. And I talked to a firearms expert at OSP, and he had said he had learned that there had been a manufacturer's warning on that weapon about the hammer being sensitive. And do you recall if you ever saw that warning or received that warning?
I don't believe I ever did. I don't recall ever.
Have you ever experienced the hammer being sensitive?
Never.
Okay.
Like I said, that gun's never given me a problem.
And we talked a little bit about this. You don't recall when this incident happened, or just prior to it, if the hammer was back, or what the situation was with the actual.
I don't. I'm speculating, since the gun fired, the hammer likely was back.
And
but I don't know that for sure.
And can you explain, so somebody who doesn't know how this gun operates, what that means exactly? That if the hammer's in the forward position, what that is, if the hammer's back, why it would operate?
If the hammer's back, it's spring loaded, and then when it releases, that's what hits the firing pin into the round with enough energy to set it off.
And this gun doesn't have a safety.
Right.
So the hammer kind of can act like a safety. If the hammer's in the upright position, you actually have to pull the trigger to make the round go off.
Unless, like what you're talking about, if there's some reason it gets jarred off.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think on this one too, if the hammer's all the way forward and you hit the hammer with enough force, that potentially that round could go off as well.
Okay.
But again, I've never experienced any of those kind of problems.
Okay. And then you were talking about the fact that you kind of recall, after we started talking about the hammer and trying to clear the weapon, that you recalled where you had found your gun after things kind of settled down and Bob had been treated medically, and he's getting packed up to get taken out. What do you recall about that?
Well, when we were, I've been racking my brain since this happened, trying to think, where did my gun land? Was it still against the chair? Did it slide into Bob? And first thinking back, no, when I saw Bob, there was no gun in that picture, so it's not touching him. When we were just talking about the ammunition and the oxidized rounds and the shiny rounds, I was thinking by the end of the trip I knew that was what the issue was, and that made me remember that the rifle was set way to the right. There's no way I could have gotten it over there. So
you're thinking someone else moved your rifle in the commotion of treating Bob?
For a couple reasons. I don't remember moving it, and where I was, and even if I'd hung on to the rifle walking, I wasn't that far, because that was several feet further on. And it was the other thing why I'm sure I didn't do it. It was laid across both of the handles, pointing right at the truck, and that's not how I would have set a gun.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So we have Bob's chair, your chair to the left. You're saying that you
Further
recall
left. Yeah. Where it ended up was further left yet in a chair.
Okay, further left of your guys' chairs.
Yeah,
So either in Purvis's or Buckdale's chair?
I think Purvis's, because Buckdale was on the other side of the truck. So.
Okay, so, and I'm going to draw a little diagram on here too. So you guys are lined up in your chairs. Let's say this is Dempsey with a D, you with an O, and then Purvis's chair with a P. Then is there a truck here? Okay, and then Buckdale and Carroll are over here somewhere. And there are a B and a C. So there's a truck, because I remember Buckdale saying he had to stand up, and I'm like, well, why does he have to stand up to see what's going on there? But that truck was in between you guys. Okay, that makes sense. So then your rifle is somewhere in a position pointing towards the...
when we're doing the cleanup, it's probably Jeff's chair, unless somebody moved my chair way over.
Okay.
But it was sitting... I remember it pretty distinct. It was sitting across both of the handles, pointing right at the engine of the truck.
Okay, so you're indicating that, like, these are fold-up lawn chairs with arm rests on them, that the gun is sitting across the arms of the chair.
Yeah, across the top of the arms, pointed right at the truck.
Okay.
And so that was, that even if somehow I hung on to the gun, that was just way too far. I think it must have gotten moved over there because... it was too far from where I was, and I wouldn't put a gun across the arms pointed at the truck.
Okay. So then the rest of the vehicles are just back here?
I think Brian's is way over here, and Mike's is over here somewhere.
And yours is just right back here?
Mine's kind of, the nose of my truck is kind of the part of the line, or close to it.
Okay.
My truck's the closest truck to where we're all at.
Okay. All right, that makes more sense. Anything else that you can think of, or anything that you kind of want to...
No, because when we were talking about that by the end of the trip, the end of the day, I'd figured out that was for sure it, because I remember the gun sitting there, and I remember racking it open, and a clean case come out. I saw another clean, one of the shiny ones, right on the carrier, and I put it in. It went in like butter, racked it out, it came out like butter, and so it was like, I knew it. These shiny, spent, and live rounds come right out of the chamber.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you had a fired casing come out when you racked it, and then okay, and
I do remember that because I was able to check both, because I had that one, and usually when you're shooting, you can't see in the side hole, and so when I rack it to the side to clear it, I see a clean, empty case come out, and I see another clean one on the carrier. It's like, oh, all right. Put it in, pull it out just like butter, super smooth, not...
So you ejected a live round after that one. Okay.
Yep. And I was like, because this thing, I'd been working on this for hours and hours, and it's like, all right, this is for sure what the problem is. It's not a gun problem. Okay. It's like, I knew it.
And so then, but this is after Bob's been shot, or before?
Oh yeah, no, this is when we're picking up.
You're packing up to go. Okay.
And I think Jeff was right there because he'd seen me having all these troubles, and I was like, I knew it. Okay. This is what it was. This, the shiny empties and loaded ones just
so when you
come
see
right out of the chamber.
That spent one come out, there isn't a second where you think, oh shit, maybe I shot Bob.
Oh, not at all.
Because you've been shooting.
I've been shooting, and again, that's one of the other ways that I'll leave a gun. Sometimes I told you that Jim had taught me leave it just with the spent, because it's harder to when you're just going to extract one. Then you got to kind of shake the second one out too.
Okay.
But I wasn't even thinking of it as did I shoot Bob. I was thinking of it as, all right, this is no longer a problem for the gun. It's an ammunition thing.
Okay. Anything else that you? I know you've had an opportunity to see some of the stuff that's in the press.
I haven't.
Actually, you haven't. Good.
The very first, there was a Willamette Week article and initial Oregonian article. And
that was like your released statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I haven't been looking at any of that because this is already stressful enough.
Okay.
But I hear enough from other people, calling me up saying, "You wouldn't believe what the sheriff just said."
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I've been tried and convicted, and as somebody who's trying to cover this up, and really foolish and short-sighted of me not to call back and talk to another deputy and give them that information. But again, it was like, all right, we all know what happened. The deputy's gone. There's no one that's going to be doing any active investigation, and we'll talk to him when he gets back. He's going to call Bob in a few weeks, and then and then talk to me. And then made all my notifications at work.
Okay.
And so it just there's no way this is a cover-up. It was an accident. And then I get frustrated about the discussion when you mentioned yesterday about negligent wounding of somebody. And here I am. I'm not drinking. I've got 40 years of safe gun handling, and somehow I injure my buddy in an accident, and it feels like there's just blood in the water. This city is always so hard on police and police chiefs, and it's just like in one accident, 30 years of service feels like it's out the window.
Yeah.
And it's just really upsetting for me.
I'm sure. Okay, well, if you don't have anything else to add, I don't think I have any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the recorder off. It is 11:19.